Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Rafa Benitez's Newcastle were unable to stop Arsenal's hot form at home, which sees the Gunners move into third place at the top of the Premier League. How did Arsenal do it? Where did Newcastle go wrong? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to briefly break down how Arsenal beat Newcastle. So before we get into today's video, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, we're going to basically break down how Arsenal were able to bypass Newcastle's system, who were the key players for Arsenal, and why Newcastle struggled against their attack. But first, let's get to the starting lineup. So we look at Arsenal, more of a 3-4-2-1. Lacazette ahead of Ozil and Iwobi, who were looking to tuck in narrow. And then out in the wing back areas, we went with Kolasinac and Maitland-Niles with Ramsey and Guendouzi in midfield. Newcastle took more of a 5-4-1 approach with Rondon up front, Almiron and Ayoze Perez tucked in narrow just in behind them with Dummett, and they went with Yedlin out in the wing-back roles and Diame and Hayden in midfield. So now let's get to the first half, see how both sides look to approach the game and how Arsenal were able to get the upper hand. So when we break down Arsenal against Newcastle, this was strictly about Newcastle's shape because we knew Arsenal were going to dictate the tempo of the game and have most of the possession. Newcastle did stick into their 5-4-1 without the ball, with Almiron and Perez tucking in narrow to provide Diame and Hayden support in the center of the pitch. And when Newcastle won the ball and tried to punt it up to Rondon, the wider players were expected to drive forward and try to provide him service to link play and break on the counterattack. Given that they're very good at running with the ball and running at Monreal, Mustafi, and Socrates, they did have an advantage there. The system, however, did kind of work out in their favor based on the fact that the wider players would be tasked with pressing Monreal or Socrates when they stepped near to the halfway line. But besides that, even if Arsenal pushed Kolasinac or Maitland-Niles forward, they could have Richie or Yedlin stick to them. And if they do that, then you have four players across the pitch protecting the players out in the advanced positions in Iwobi and Ozil tucking narrow, and then you have the back three just ahead of them. With that being said, you'd have Hayden and Diame stepping to Ramsey and Guendouzi, and that really caused Arsenal some problems because they really didn't create many chances in the first half. A lot of it stemmed through quick combination play in wider areas and through Mesut Ozil, and Newcastle's system was working. They just lacked any sort of attacking threat on the counterattack. There's only one play in particular where Richie punted a ball into the left channel, and what happened there was that Mustafi stepped and was guilty of stepping. Rondon spun into that channel and he was able to brush off Socrates to break into the box, but Leno did make a good save. Besides that, you knew what you were getting from Newcastle in that regard, and Arsenal, like I said, struggled. Lacazette wasn't really involved. Ramsey's passing was poor. Kolasinac wasn't offering much down the left-hand side, and neither was Maitland-Niles down the right. A lot of it did stem through Ramsey eventually being able to break forward and Mesut Ozil. Ozil's positioning was very interesting here, dropping off deep when he did want to pick up the ball on the right-hand side, cutting in from the right and often squaring the ball to his midfield teammates. But a lot of his play was down the left-hand side where he tried to gain combination plays with Kolasinac, with Guendouzi, and with Iwobi, who was also tucking in. But when you break down Arsenal's key chances, you see that a lot of it stemmed through quick combination play, and that quick combination play was able to pull Newcastle's midfield narrow shape and their compact backline out of position. When we look to build to the goal, it's Guendouzi from a deeper position playing a pass in between Hayden and Diame, who didn't look to step forward, into Aaron Ramsey, who pushed a bit forward, and he was able to poke the ball in between Lascelles and in between Yedlin for Lacazette, and Lacazette tried to turn and break forward, but Yedlin poked the ball into the path of Ramsey, and he was able to fire somewhat of a tame effort off the post and into the net past Dubravka. Shortly after that, we kind of see what Arsenal's combination play is all about. The ball is switched out to Kolasinac. He now is closed by Ayoze Perez, and he's close by Yedlin, and he's able to poke the ball across them and split them for Ozil, who dummies the ball. And when he dummies the ball, all three center backs do step forward, and you had Iwobi sitting ahead of Lascelles, and then Ozil darts into that left channel. When he darts into that left half space, you have Iwobi playing the ball into him, and he pokes it back to Iwobi, who slides it beyond Yedlin for Kolasinac breaking forward, but his cross into Ozil, continuing his run, is just missed, and it falls into Dubravka. The final opportunity that we do break down that does show Arsenal's great combination play and their ability to quickly bypass Newcastle with swift passing does see Monreal clip the ball from his half into the path of Iwobi, and Iwobi's able to hold off Lejeune, and Yedlin also comes to him, and he's able to backheel the ball into the path of Kolasinac, breaking in beyond them. And when Kolasinac breaks down the left channel, he slides it to Aaron Ramsey, who now is able to poke the ball in between Yedlin and Lascelles as Ozil makes the run in between Lejeune and Lascelles to get the ball in left half space, but Yedlin holds him off. However, there, Ozil's able to play the ball back to Kolasinac and square it to Lacazette, who forces a save from Dubravka and Richie, clearing it off the line. When you break down that first half as a whole, you see how Newcastle are trying to really do it, keeping the midfield compact, relying on their individual battles with the wing backs and the compact back three to ensure that the central players that are looking to get the ball in those tight spaces can't get onto it in dangerous positions in Arsenal's third. But when you look at it from a grand scheme of things, you see that Arsenal's able to play quick combination passes to bypass them, and the threat of Ozil and the quick movement were able to unsettle Newcastle's backline. So now let's get to the second half, see what changed, and if Newcastle were able to change things to frustrate Arsenal. So when we break down the second half and we see how Newcastle were trying to be a bit more proactive, we saw with Arsenal's wingbacks pushing forward, Perez and Almiron were trying to break into the channels, but Mustafi and Monreal did do well to kind of block off that space. When they tried to get the balls into Rondon, the one notable moment was when he backed into Socrates and not chested the ball into Almiron, but we saw Monreal come across to make a sliding tackle. Besides that, Newcastle's attacking threat didn't really get going until Arsenal did sit off a bit during spells of that second half, but they never tested Leno. Whereas for Arsenal, the same threat down the left-hand side with Ozil caused them problems. We saw Maitland-Niles pushing forward and getting the better of Richie, but this was about Ozil. This was about the movement of Arsenal. We looked to one of their earlier chances in that half where you see Iwobi kind of drift out to the touchline and hold off Yedlin, and we see Kolasinac get the ball with Perez coming a bit over, and he plays the ball into Ozil, who drifts centrally, and Ozil dummies it across Lascelles and Lejeune for Lacazette, who's being held up by Dummett, and Lacazette flicks the ball over them for Ozil darting between the center backs, and he gets the ball in left half space and tries to play the cross through the box, but it doesn't get to Maitland-Niles. But just like that, one simple Ozil dummy darting in between the center backs, that is Mesut Ozil at his best. Should have finished with the goal. However, it goes to show how well their movement was in pulling Newcastle out of position. Shortly after that, we saw Ozil get Diame booked when he dropped off a bit deeper and located Lacazette dropping off on Lejeune. He plays the ball into Lacazette, who guides it into Kolasinac, who now is blocked off at the touchline by Perez, by Yedlin and Diame, but Ozil makes the run around Lejeune and in between those two markers to get the ball back, but Diame tracks him and pulls him down for the booking. When you break it down, it all stemming through Ozil, and Arsenal were forced to make some changes as well. They moved to a more attacking approach with Ozil playing just in behind Lacazette and in behind Aubameyang. They brought in Elneny for Ramsey, who couldn't continue, and Newcastle had to adjust as well, trying to bring on Keith to offer more ball possession play in the center of the pitch, Kennedy for Richie, and then eventually Muto came on to try and offer Rondon some support, which kind of made them more of a lopsided 5-3-2 without the ball, because Muto, you were expecting him to drop off, but he doesn't give you the discipline and the work rate that you get from Perez. However, Arsenal were still rampant. You have Guendouzi dispossessing Diame, Ozil picking up the ball to run at the back three, and he slides it in between Dummett and Lascelles for Aubameyang breaking in right half space. Dubravka makes a key save. Then the build up to the goal, even sillier. You have Elneny in a deep position playing it into Guendouzi, who isn't pressed. He slides the ball in between Almiron and Diame for Lacazette, again posted up on Dummett, and he flicks the ball upwards for Aubameyang, who does drop off a bit deeper ahead of Lascelles, and he nods it over Lascelles, who doesn't deal with it well. Poor defending for Lacazette, breaking in behind him, and Lacazette chips Dubravka. When you break down the game as a whole, Newcastle's approach was as expected, and it did make sense given the system battle and the fact that they were sticking narrow. But with that approach, you have to be disciplined, alert, and organized for 90 minutes. And here, Arsenal's swift passing and movement pulled them out of position. But let me know what you guys think. Is Arsenal going to finish in the top 4? And better than that, will they finish in the top 3? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.